Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today we're going to have kind of a little bit of both a rant and poking fun at the criticisms and bizarre ideas that people have out there regarding my own training, regarding the system I use, which is not my system, by the way. I've just adapted and utilized the West Side Barbell Conjugate method, right? And I try to keep it pretty close to their concepts and ideas and math and everything else. Right, I try to keep it very, very close. It's not always perfect because they're always evolving and changing. But I do try to kind of keep up with what they do and see if I can make it work with my own goals and equipment I have. And again, there's always some customization on accessory work and GBP and things like that based upon our needs. But, it's hilarious because I'll get people who come here and they'll literally see me doing, because I post up the maxes, oh, all you ever do is heavy singles, and that's why you whatever looks certain way. And it's like, it's ludicrous because I only do 2 heavy singles a week. Right? I do 4 days of real training on camera, my actual training template, then I do 3 days of restoration and conditioning work in GBP. Well, my restoration work tends to be 30 plus reps. GPP is I get out and I drag a sled, right? And so it's quite comical because the people will come in and they'll say that, oh, all you do is heavy singles. It's like, you didn't watch me do 15 sets of 10 to 20 reps afterwards. It's all in the vlogs, and it's I guess it's because I splice a lot of this footage together and people see me do these voiceovers and they don't realize these voiceovers of just the informative is just stock footage in the background oftentimes of just training I'm doing thrown in while we discuss topics, and a lot of times it's a couple months old. Usually by the time you see these videos, they're like 2 months old. 6 to 8 weeks in some cases is how far back a video has been made before you see it. And all my actual training has a date on it with blogs, and people can see the workouts. They're right there, and they're uploaded four times a week, right? 4 days a week we get the normal workouts right there in the feed, and it lists my reps and sets on everything. My percentages, what exercises we do for the whole workout is listed underneath it. So it's just an absolutely ludicrous criticism to come in and say something like, well, all you do are just these heavy lifts. And and again, this whole idea that just because you do a bunch of rep work that you're going to look like what they think a bodybuilder should look like. No, those are usually guys who've dieted down to an unhealthy body fat, and there's a lot of drugs involved. Because I do tons of 10s and 15s and 20s. I do all that stuff, right? I do it on camera. It's not like we can fake it. It's all there. No, guys, there's other stuff going on. Way other stuff going on. So it's a crazy, crazy criticism. And it's just ludicrous. Then the other problem we have is people on the other extreme. It's like, and I see this come in, people who want to defend different forms of periodization, who are like, Jason, you can't train these things in the same way. You can't do heavy singles twice a week and then do a bunch of volume behind it and work in speed work. And it's not optimal. Like, really? I mean, no offense, but a lot of the guys who are coming and telling me this, it's like, well, what are you doing? What are you achieving? I mean, it's one thing if you're a champion. Okay, fine. If Johnny Candido wants to come in and argue about conjugate, that's a different perspective. Okay? If there's a guy who's legitimately jacked and big and not blasting his brains out on gear, and I mean, like some of these guys who are using 2 grams, I mean, we've seen that before. Look at Jerry Ward. I linked his stack that time that he had sent in private when we were friends, and then he came at me like a dick, so I posted his stack. And then he argued that I changed one of the numbers. Only one, which it actually was his typo. It was actually his mistake. And I was willing to give him that. Guy was on 2 grams of anabolics, plus growth hormone, plus IGF-1. Okay. His training is so bad that that's what it takes for him to be at that size. I mean, that is an insane amount of gear. And a lot of you out there who are like, that doesn't seem that insane. I'd be 300 plus pounds if I did that. Yeah, that is insane. It's completely insane. Like, you better be monstrous, like Dorian Yates looking on a stack like that. If you're not, then you really and truly have no clue what you were doing. Because that's the kind of stacks guys like Dorian Yates ran, admittedly. That's not a smaller guy type thing. And we saw that. So, again, for some of you guys who are doing this, well, what's your size and weight and fast free mass index? What are you doing? Are you big? Are you strong? Are you doing anything? And you're going to stand here and criticize a proven protocol that you guys see me use day in and day out. I'm in my 40s and getting stronger. I'm in my 40s and getting stronger, and I'm not snapped up like these other guys who we're seeing, who can't lift anything. So how are you going to talk about it not being optimal? Not optimal in what way? Guys will say silly stuff like, well, because you can't do maxes and rep work, you can't get the... Why not? You're telling me you can't do your maximum recoverable volume on rep work in the same week that you hit maxes? You're telling me you can't do it? Because I do it every single week. Hundreds and hundreds of other lifters who run these training systems do it every single week. Okay, and some of us are throwing around some pretty big weight for those 10 rep sets. It's not like you're saying, oh, but you have no strength left. You can't do any 10 reps. Really? You haven't watched me hit 250 for sets of 10 on a closed grip bench? After maxing, you don't watch me do good mornings with 365 for sets of 10 after a max squat or a max deadlift. Yeah, you don't, or you're not watching. We can't do it. Well, you watch me do it as a 40-something-year-old man. You watch me do it every week. What do you mean we can't do it? Because when you say it's not optimal, it's like, oh, well, you just can't fit that work in and recover. Really? You don't see the problem with that? You're telling us we can't do something that tons of lifters do successfully, who are very successful athletes, that you literally watch me do in real time every week. Like it's put up every week the same day. What do you mean we can't do it? Or it's not optimal. I'm not getting stronger. I'm not getting bigger. Of course it's optimal. Maybe you've been sold a BS lie. Maybe you've been sold a BS lie by people who are making their living selling specific forms of periodization. Right? Of course you can maximize hypertrophy and strength in the same week. And some of these same guys will say, well, maximum strength is in this rep. No. No. Maximum strength is not with 3 reps. Ever. You actualize maximum strength with singles. Okay? You maximize hypertrophy with your training volume. You do realize you can do heavy maxes in the same week that you do volume work. Very successfully. And what do you mean it's not optimal? Are you gaining size and gaining strength? And here's the thing. To gain strength, you have to do the volume, right? We need to be as stacked as possible. If we want to be as strong as possible, we have to maximize hypertrophy. And you can't maximize hypertrophy 60% of the year and still maximize hypertrophy. Right? You have to do the rep work year round. Unless you're timing it around your drug stacks. Okay? Keep that in mind with a lot of linear periodization models. Where are they timing their orals and stuff in those blocks? Yeah, they have to, because you start regressing real quick. You can't just let those different things detrain. You can't. That's not optimal. So I don't want to hear that shit from you guys. It's not optimal. You're detraining and losing hypertrophy that you've worked hard to gain. No, you have to keep up your training volume and your supplemental work and your hypertrophy. Or you have to. And the same thing with the maxes. You need to be hitting your heavy lifts, or else you don't develop the appropriate intramuscular coordination. And yes, you can do them all year round if you know how to train and program and balance your fatigue management. And you can do them just fine, and you can make gains all year long. You guys have been watching me do it. As an advanced lifter, you're like, oh man, he just hits a 10-pound PR there, a 5-pound PR. He gets stronger throughout the year. And I'm an advanced lifter in my 40s, guys. So you guys who are like 25 talking about you can't do that, that it's not optimal. Oh my God. You've been sold a load of horse shit. And you bought it hook, line, and sinker. Alright guys, well that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.